female remote disadvantaged community thriving thanks to native bush food. It's cultivating landline by Tim Lee, posted John E15 2018 15:37 and 37 seconds. Photo: Wayne Kelly Jr. has quandong trees ready to plant. Landline. Tim Lee. Related story: The Dong, weird name but a very useful fruit-related story. Native bush food demand outstripping supply, says industry relit. Ed story: Beautiful top-end bush tomato plant named in top 10 new species list. Map: Australia at Ngania, a one-horse, one-pub town in far western New South Wales. The locals are learning to keep their heads down. Harvest begins in late autumn and continues throughout winter unless halted by a severe frost. It's bush tomato season. This is the first harvest in a new joint venture and the enthusiasm is evident. Photo: Bush tomatoes occur naturally in the surrounding country side, but like all desert plants only flourish periodically when conditions are ideal. Landline. Tim Lee. Each day, a dedicated band of volunteers from the Clara Hart community kneels in the red desert sand, hovers over rows of carefully ended plants and delicately plucks the valuable fruit from the bush tomato's spiny branches. The market garden is a mere half-hectare, but it presents new and exciting possibilities for this remote, socially disadvantaged indigenous community. Thai. Photo: The bush tomato plant produces blood-red fruit which is hard to eat once fully mature. Supplied. Chris Marty. The driving force behind this community-backed initiative is Tanya Edwards, the chief executive of the Murrawari Akal Aboriginal Land Council. 2 years ago, while attending a native foods conference in Dubbo, she saw a presentation by Mike and Gail Corby. The couple are trailblazers of Australia's nascent native foods industry and the owners of Back Pride, the nation's largest grower and supplier of bush foods. It lit that spark, recalled Ms. Edwards, who immediately invited the Quarmbys to Ngania, an hour's drive north of Burke, to have them assess the viability of growing bush foods at Clara Hart. Photo: It means our people get back in touch with our traditional foods, said Tanya Edwards. Supplied. Gail Corby. The community gave the idea the thumbs up. A plot was selected. A memorandum of understanding between the parties was signed and work began. The first step was building a high, vermin-proof perimeter fence to keep out pests such as feral goats, roos and goats, emus. You get a few odd cattle here and there too, said Wayne Lee, a grandson of Clara Hart, after whom the settlement was named. It was her advocacy for Aboriginal rights that saw his small area of land granted to traditional owners in the 1950s. Photo: The tomato plant is hard to miss in northern Australia with its large purple flowers. Supplied. Chris Martin. Bush tomatoes occur naturally in the surrounding countryside, but like all desert plants only flourish periodically when conditions are ideal. In this case, Solanum centrale, known to the locals as Kutra, thrives after a mild bushfire followed by a summer thunderstorm, so the market garden tries to emulate the natural conditions. The plants get plenty of potash and the water. The plot has drip line irrigatio is turned off in autumn to promote fruit set. Photo: You see mobs of them way out through the scrub area here, says Mr. Kelly, but to see them like this is amazing. Landline. Tim Lee. The fruit has little resemblance to conventional tomatoes. When it ripens in the cooler months to yellow, it has a vanilla-like taste. When it's further dried, it carries a distinctive smoky flavor. Its unique qualities make it an increasingly sought ingredient for chefs and high gourmet food outlets. Other traditional food plants have also been planted and are starting to flourish. There's Muniru, a type of portulaca or pigweed, quandongs or native peach trees, as well as marsdenia, often called bush bananas. Photo: The Naru, a ground hugger that has small yellow flowers and sometimes pink stems, can grow to a meter across and tastes gr. Eat barbecued. Landline. Tim Lee. With Mr. Quarmby's guidance, a drying shed has just been completed. It will give the Bush tomatoes a much longer shelf life. The Bush Foods will provide the community with much needed nutrition. Being a long way from town makes it hard to get fresh fruit and vegetables. We can have it right here in our backyard, Ms. Edwards said. You know, one of our cultivators is 10 times the vitamin C content of an orange, she said, because of their high nutritional value. Bush foods are being embraced as superfoods. It's one of the fastest growing sectors of the Australia's horticultural industry, albeit from a low base. There are thousands of Australian native food plants that Aboriginal people used on an everyday basis, said Mr. Quarmby. We've only started to really utilize probably 100. Photo. Bush banana, Marsdenia, getting planted. They're grown in most parts of arid Australia and have 4 different edible parts. Landline. Tim Lee. Their nutrient levels are sky high in comparison with world standard, added Mr. Quarmby. So Original people didn't need to eat very much to be very healthy, very fit and healthy. For the Quarmbys, overseeing the work here requires a 3-day drive from their base in South Australia, but to them the venture is more than finding a good supplier of valuable bush foods. It's about empowering the community to some degree of self-sufficiency. So we're very hopeful, Ms. Quarmby said. We keep coming back here with faith in our hearts and just face whatever is happening. And just do the job. Get down and get dirty and do the job. Photo. Mike and Gail Quarmby are pioneers of Australia's ascent bush foods industry. Landline. Tim Lee. Plants have a wonderful ability of feel good, Mr. Quarmby added. You are something grow and you can harvest a bit of it and eat it. It improves the psyche of a community. When we started his project, that's what it was all about. Jobs and training and quality of life. Ms. Edwards is determined to see the RKET garden succeed and expand in the future. They'd like to expand it and we'd go along with it. With the expansion of this, Mr. Kelly said, we need it to grow. Now we've got this, we can think bigger. Ms. Edwards concluded, this is way too great. It's also us giving back to our elders and our next generation to be able to pass that on. It's a game changer. Tim Lee's story screens at 12:30 p.m. this Sunday on Landline. Topics: Bush tucker, rural women, agricultural crops, women in agriculture, food and beverage, indigenous culture, Australia, NSW, Burke 2840.